Page 88. Track 29. Listening 3.
Cheese is one of the world's oldest foods. It was made by the ancient Egyptians over 3,000 years ago. It is a valuable food since it contains vitamins and protein. It is used both as a food itself and in many different types of cooking. There are hundreds of different types of cheese around the world, but they are almost always made from the same thing: milk. Cheese is made from several different kinds of milk, including cows', sheep's, and goat's milk. Most cheese in the United States is made from cow's milk. Cheese also contains water. A soft cheese like brie contains more water than a hard cheese like Parmesan. Cheese is produced through a process called fermentation. The process of making cheese was probably discovered by chance. Ancient people used to make bags using the skin from an animal's stomach. When they used these skin bags to carry milk, bacteria from the animal's skin reacted with the milk to begin the fermentation. The result was cheese. Today, cheese making is a very scientific process. First, the milk that will be used is pasteurized, which means that it is heated to remove all bacteria. Then, specially cultivated bacteria called cultures are added to the milk. The milk is kept fairly warm during this period to help the cultures grow. As they grow, the bacteria cultures sometimes release bubbles of carbon dioxide. These bubbles help make the holes in Swiss cheese. Next, as the milk ripens, it forms a solid substance. This substance is called curd. The curd is removed and the water is drained from it. The curd forms the basis of the cheese and may be treated in different ways. Finally, once it is matured and dried, the cheese is ready to eat.
Page 89. Track 30. Pronunciation. 1,
You need to take vitamins.
2,
You should eat more vegetables.
3,
What types of fruit are you eating?
4,
Do you eat a lot of carrots?
5,
I've taken 2 cooking classes.
6,
I ate 4 pieces of pizza.
Page 89. Track 31. Dictation.
Hi, I'm Jane, and I'll be your server this evening. What would you like to drink?
I'll just have some water, thanks.
Okay. And what would you like to eat?
Could you tell me what types of vegetables come with the roast chicken?
Sure. It comes with peas and carrots.
Okay. Then I'd like the roast chicken and vegetables, please. And I'd like a piece of apple pie for dessert.
Okay. That's roast chicken and vegetables and a piece of apple pie.
Unit 23. Predicaments. Page 90. Track 32. Listening 1. 1,
You know, I'm in an embarrassing situation. I've got a house guest staying with me. He's been here a while, and I don't know when he's going to leave. Do you think I should ask him?
Yes, I would if I were you.
2,
One of my best friends borrowed $5 from me and seems to have forgotten about it. I'm too embarrassed to remind her. I don't think it's worth mentioning. Do you?
No, it's only a small amount. But next time, make sure you don't lend her any money.
3,
This guy at work is always asking me out, and I really don't want to go out with him. Do you think I should tell him I don't like him?
Oh, I wouldn't. He'll get the message eventually.
4,
You know, this friend of mine is always borrowing things from me. One week it's my camera, and the next week it's my stereo. And she always forgets to return them. What do you think I should do?
Well, first of all,
ask for all your stuff back. And second, don't lend her anything else.
5.
My friend invited me to his graduation party, and I completely forgot about it. Maybe I should tell him I wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. He'd probably be pretty annoyed if he knew you just forgot about it.
6.
You know, I have really nice neighbors. The only problem is they play music really loud at night. It drives me crazy. Do you think I should say something to them about it?
Why not? They may not realize it's bothering you.
Page 91. Track 33. Listening 2. 1.
I was looking at some dishes in a department store yesterday when I dropped and broke one. I thought for sure they'd ask me to pay for it, but the sales clerk was nice and said I didn't have to.
2.
I went out for dinner with my girlfriend last night at this Italian restaurant. When I checked the bill, they had charged us for things we hadn't even ordered. I talked to the waiter about it. He apologized and said I didn't have to pay for the things we didn't order. In fact, we got the whole meal for free.
3.
I had a date with my girlfriend last night, but on the way there I got stuck in a traffic jam. I got to the movie theater nearly half an hour late. When I finally arrived, my girlfriend was very upset with me, and we both went home without seeing the movie.
4.
A funny thing happened to me yesterday. This girl came up to me on the street and thought I was the actor Tom Cruise. She even asked for my autograph. I wasn't really sure what to do. I didn't want to disappoint her, so I went ahead and signed Tom Cruise's name. I hope I did the right thing.
5.
When I got home on Friday, all my friends were waiting inside my apartment. My brother let them in because they wanted to have a surprise party for me to celebrate my birthday. Unfortunately, my apartment was a mess. Can you imagine how I felt? My brother told me they had to spend a half an hour cleaning up when they got there.
6.
There was this guy who sat behind me in class. I'm sure he cheated whenever we had a test. He was always looking over my shoulder. I didn't know what to do about it. Finally, I asked the teacher if I could sit in a different seat. I felt a lot better after that.
Page 92. Track 34. Listening 3. 1.
My brother-in-law is okay, but there's one thing he always does that I can't stand.
Oh? What's that?
Every time he comes to our house, he goes straight to the refrigerator and helps himself to something to eat. The other day, he finished 2 sandwiches that my wife and I were planning to have for lunch.
No way.
Yeah. At first, I didn't want to say anything, but now I've decided that I'm going to speak to my wife about it.
2.
Do you know Charles, that guy in our computer class?
Sure, I know who you mean.
Have you noticed his breath? It can be pretty awful sometimes. I'm surprised someone hasn't spoken to him about it. But I guess it's an awkward thing to mention to someone.
Right. I know what you mean.
Hey, maybe I should send him an anonymous note about it. That's a nice way of handling it, don't you think?
It sounds good to me.
3.
My aunt is staying with us this week. My parents gave her the bedroom right next to mine, and she snores really loudly. It's impossible to sleep at night.
You mean it's that loud?
Oh, it's horrible. And when I told my parents about it, they didn't help me at all.
That sounds frustrating.
You bet it is. I guess I'll have to sleep in a different room while she's here.
4.
Did I tell you that Lisa borrowed some money from me? She got in a traffic accident and the repairs to her car were really expensive.
How much money did you lend her?
$1,000.
Wow. Has she paid you back yet?
Not yet. She's waiting for some money from the insurance company. I guess I'll just have to wait until she gets it.
5.
My cousin is acting weird these days. He's depressed and he talks to himself all the time. He probably needs to see someone about it. Maybe a psychologist or something?
You sound pretty worried.
I am. I'm gonna talk to his parents about it. I don't think they're aware of the problem because they don't see him very often.
6.
Do you know that when I got home from work today, that guy next door had parked his car in my parking space again?
Really? I thought everyone was supposed to park in their own parking spaces.
They are. You know, I hate having problems with my neighbors, but this is the third or fourth time this has happened. I'm going to call the building manager and ask him to do something about it.
Page 93. Track 35. Pronunciation. 1,
We have house guests this weekend.
2,
I got stuck in a traffic jam.
3,
Her classmate is preparing a presentation for tomorrow.
4,
My grandparents are sleeping in my bedroom.
Page 93. Track 36. Dictation.
What's wrong? You look exhausted.
I am. I have a house guest staying with me right now. He's a friend from my English class. He was going to stay for a week, but he's been here for 4 weeks now.
Oh no! Why has he been staying with you for so long?
Well, there was a fire in his apartment building, so he has to find a new place to stay. The problem is, he can't afford to pay the deposit for a new place until he gets money from the insurance company.
That's terrible. The poor guy.
Unit 24. Global Issues. Page 94. Track 37. Listening 1. 1.
Well, the government has done quite a bit to reduce water pollution. It's certainly better than it used to be. Now we have to do something about air pollution, which is still pretty bad.
2.
Crime is a growing problem in the country right now. Sometimes it's because people are unemployed. I think what we really have to do is reduce unemployment. That should help the crime problem.
3.
The subway and bus services have definitely got to improve. But the government should really focus on improving conditions for people in the cities. So many people need better places to live, and the problem is getting worse.
4.
One of the biggest issues we're facing right now is unemployment. If people can't work, they can't spend any money, and then the whole economy continues to suffer. The government really needs to help create more jobs.
5.
Parking downtown is so expensive, and there's so much traffic on the streets in the morning with so many people trying to get to work. We need a new subway system to make it easier for people to get to work so we don't have to drive our cars all the time.
6.
There has been an increase in lifespan throughout the world. People live longer now because of the availability of medicine and clean water. We need to make sure this continues.
Page 95. Track 38. Listening 2. 1.
I grew up around here, and the river has always been really polluted. Industries were dumping all sorts of chemicals and waste into the water, so the river really smelled bad. You wouldn't even think of swimming in it. Well, I decided to do something about it. My neighbors and I wrote a letter to the mayor asking him to force these industries to clean up the river. I really hope the government listens to us and takes action.
2.
Over the last few years, we've been having much hotter summers and warmer winters. When I was a kid here, we used to have a lot of white, fluffy snow in the winter. Now we don't get that.
And there hasn't been much rain for a couple of years. I guess this is the effect of that global warming I keep hearing about in the news. That's why we've decided to move to Chicago. There's plenty of snow and rain up there.
3.
When did the world get so crazy? That's what I'd like to know. For years, I thought everything was fine. Now, all I read about in the newspaper is countries fighting each other, dropping bombs, and terrible things like that. You know what I did about it? I stopped reading the newspaper. Now, whenever I want to read something, I just pick up one of those sports magazines. No bad news in there.
4.
It's almost impossible to get across the city in less than an hour and a half during rush hour. There are too many cars on the roads. There are only 2 freeways, and they just can't handle all the traffic. The only thing that moves quickly in this city is the subway. That's why I took an apartment right next to the subway station.
5.
One of the biggest problems we face is garbage. Where can we put it all? In the past, everything used to get buried in giant landfills, but in many countries today, the landfills are full and there is no room to start new ones. That's why I've decided to try to create less garbage. I buy fewer packaged foods now. For example, instead of buying frozen prepared dinners in plastic trays and cardboard boxes, I buy fresh meats and produce. I also take my own cup to the coffee shop so I don't have to use paper cups. Creating less garbage is really the only solution.
6.
In the future, everyone will have to live in giant high-rise buildings if they want to live in cities. These new buildings might be 100 stories tall or more. If cities keep getting bigger, the only way they can expand is upward. I can't stand crowded cities myself. That's why I moved to a small town in the country.
Page 96. Track 39. Listening 3.
In developing countries, more and more people are moving from the country to the cities in order to find work. This is because, in many countries, it is often no longer possible to make a living as a farmer. The result of this movement is the development of what are sometimes called megacities. These are huge cities with populations of up to 15 million people. People who move to megacities usually believe that cities have many benefits to offer. They believe that there are more jobs available and that salaries are much higher than they are in the countryside. They think there will be a lot of new, affordable housing to choose from. And of course, these people are attracted to the exciting, glamorous image of the big city that they have seen on television and in movies. They even expect to live longer and healthier lives in cities because the health care is better there. But in reality, life in these megacities is not always as good as people hope. Jobs are often difficult to find because many of the people who move to the cities have little education and few job skills. As a result, there is a huge supply of unskilled workers to choose from, so salaries are very low. Housing can also be a problem. Many people end up in huge, crowded slums on the outskirts of these cities, and their families may become sick because even though the health care is better in the cities, it is also much more expensive. The growing population of megacities causes many other problems for city governments. Air pollution increases, for example, as does crime. Getting rid of garbage is extremely difficult. There is not much space available for public parks and gardens. And as these cities continue to grow, these problems will become even more difficult.
Page 97. Track 40. Pronunciation. 1.
The man was issued a fine for littering.
2.
Pollution is an important issue.
3.
How can we decrease air pollution?
4.
There's been a decrease in air pollution over the last year.
5.
We produce too much trash in this country.
6.
The produce at the farmer's market looked so fresh.
Page 97. Track 41. Dictation.
There are so many problems in the world today.
I know. There's water pollution, air pollution, global warming, unemployment.
Yeah, and there's the destruction of the rainforests, traffic problems, housing shortages. It can get depressing if you think about it too much.
No kidding. What do you think the biggest issues are?
I really think air pollution is the most important issue. If we don't reduce pollution and improve air quality, we'll all have health problems.
I agree that air pollution is a big problem. The air in the city has become so dirty.